God loves us. He loves all of his children. And he wants us to be able to serve in the kingdom, to grow in our testimonies. And to do that, he needs us to be able to provide for our temporal self-reliance, even as we're building our spiritual self-reliance.
Travis Wayne Goodsell. February 2023, on the Tuesday morning. Yeah, Tuesday. Yep. I'm getting memories of the Monday holiday, which is tomorrow, or you'll find out that it was yesterday. The concentration camp of hell of human trafficking that I was living in at the time targeted me specifically to deny my IP address the internet access. That put me in a panic because I was supposed to meet this apartment to get it, waiting to find out if I'm approved. And I'm cut off from all communications. And so as it turns out, the second of the two women who were ordered to keep me there, the second one didn't realize this until it was too late. And so I got in because of her, not the other woman who first failed. who got me this apartment through the paperwork prelim. And so a cyber terrorist attack by the IT working for the shelter, Gail Miller's shelter. Because previously, other problems ensued. My whole life after moving to Utah, I have been under attack by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Because I use the scientific method to find out that Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon are true. 2024, February, Valentine's Day. It was a Sunday. A cyber terrorist attack, for which I call the Valentine's Day Massacre. Laptop destroyed. They tried to do it with this system, but this system could endure it. (2025) February. Nothing. We would find out for April conference why. I already found out from November 2024 why. They were expecting Trump to cause Armageddon, and he failed. So there was nothing for February because Trump was supposed to cause that year's problem for me. And he failed. So 2026, Trump's still failing. And so this time, rather than expecting Trump to cause it, they're being proactive. And my internet has been down since 11 a.m. this morning, regardless of whatever day this was, if I ever get the internet back. I am cut off from trying to save your life. At least 2 days, it's expected to not have the internet. This is the extra long weekend. This is a pattern of practice. This is what I've told you a week ago or so, that I expected this because it's a pattern of practice. And here it is. And this time, it's directly connected to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints through their church website for art. They have a place to get and obtain, to download church art for use in lessons and use for family, because we're supposed to spend more time with our families, having an hour of church off. This is Sunday. But the website knows my IP address, just like all the previous positions knew. The church knows my system from my IP address. They know it's me. And I was on their site multiple times obtaining pictures for video number 1. This is video number 3. This will be the last one for the day. It's almost 7. So this is it for today. And then tomorrow, just be cranking out the videos so that come Tuesday, whenever the internet hopefully gets restored, because it has to be, because people are coming back to work here on Tuesday. It will finally get restored again. Manager. So frustrated. Just emailed me yesterday before the end of Friday, I guess. It's Friday. Or was it yesterday? Yeah, it was Friday, I guess. It didn't work on Mondays or Saturdays. Anyway, doesn't matter. And so, yeah, that's my intention. So I knew this was coming. And yeah, this is damaging to you, not to me. I'm only doing this video and doing all these videos for the whole decade, as I've repeated all this decade, to save your lives, to warn you of the danger you're in. I don't do this to be popular. Obviously, I'm not. Because the church won't let me. But that's not what I'm doing this for. I have solely dedicated my tenure. He talks about that. This is the Gilbert video, as it should be. I forgot to pop it. Now I gotta pop it during the video. I've only had, I had pizza during the, That's it. This is a great weight loss option. I'm bored. I spend time making videos to retaliate on Tuesday or whenever the internet comes back. So I'm losing weight. Starvation diet. So, now, I know what the church is up to. This past week, it can literally be summed up as Mark Twain. I was provided this picture the other day. No amount of evidence will persuade an idiot. Mark Twain. I assume it's Mark Twain. It's a meme. If I had the internet, I could Google search it and see what AI Google says. Probably pop up and say, I'm not authorized. This is suspicious activity. Who are you? Identify yourself. And yes, this past week, that happened too. I saw it creeping leading up to this. This was lying in wait criminal activity that they preyed upon me for. And so yes, waiting until 11, yeah, obviously why. They were waiting for my video, and they got impatient, and so they said, he's not doing it, shut it down. It's either being recorded, or it's being uploaded, or being saved, but it's not going to YouTube yet. Get him. It's almost noon, so he's well into whatever it is he's got planned. Because I know I do a video every day. And so for those of you who noticed I'm not doing a video for 2 days, yeah, you should be rightly concerned. Why didn't you reach out to me? Maybe you did, and when I get the internet back and I get onto my email, I'll see a whole long list of emails. That's the only way it's going to save you. I will find out who my true friends are. And I know of only one, but the others are wanting to be and trying to be, but when put to the test, everybody in my life, my whole life, have all failed. That is the sad reality. Nobody was able to stand by my side during my darkest hours, especially in 2008. There was one woman afterward, when I had gone down to the tabernacle to watch Irene speak. No, it was not Irene. That was a different one. That was before. I was on the upper row of the tabernacle this time. And across from the upper row, a woman yelled out to me, "Travis." And I looked and I couldn't recognize her from the distance. And she said, "Hey, I haven't seen you in a while." I couldn't remember where I knew her from because she was too far away from me. And thus we weren't able to really have a conversation. And she didn't come up to me afterward. And that was it. So I don't know who she was. She was from the older singles ward, Rick's, Mission. I don't know. But, yeah, it's just, people have their own lives with their own friends and their own besties, and their own family. And so I am the outsider as a result. I'm well aware of that, and I don't blame you guys. But I have learned early in my life that I was going to need to learn to live to be alone. And so yes, Valentine's yesterday, I was all alone, doing video for you. And then the day after, I got attacked by the church, who knows my IP address. Their AI programming is human programmed. And it was human programmed to attack me. I even showed you in a video previous this week of using Microsoft to access the church for a picture about Gilbert, for a video I was going to do. And it put up the initial page, "This site is unsafe." The church? It's the church site. It's unsafe? I'm not buying it. The church is your major stockholder. I'm not buying it. You are identifying me as an enemy threat and denying me access to the church's threat, or the church's site. That's what's going on. And so I went down and clicked, "Let me see it anyway." And so I show you the two pictures in my video of how the site, when it pulled up finally, showed up in the upper left hand corner, "Unsafe" in red. I go to save the picture. It says computer failure, internet failure, access denied. I do it again, access denied. That's the next picture I put in for you. And then I show you the picture. It's just unbelievable, the hatred against me. And like I said, because using the scientific method, I learned from the fruit that Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon are true. If Mormons believe Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon are true, I should not be your enemy. You should not be attacking me. And yet, all Mormons are anti-Travis Wayne Goodsell, accusing me of being anti-Mormon. Beam and moat. So, that's my plan. I got a playlist or file set up, and when access is granted again, I have no idea what order they will be in. So repeating this information at the beginning of the videos, I hope will help whichever one is first or whichever one you come to first. Because I know very damn well that despite putting the videos in a particular order, it doesn't guarantee you're going to find it in that order. And so it really doesn't matter what order I put them in. YouTube sucks that way. And it's because they're getting sued, as other social media sites are getting sued for what they're claiming is addiction. It's not addiction, it's extortion. They're in it for the money making. And so they have to manipulate people, threaten people, convince people in any way possible to get them money. That's it, that's all. Don't throw in psychology to screw up your case. Psychology is evil and wrong, and they were the ones that caused you to do it your way, for which you're getting sued for, using psychology. Psychology is playing both sides, and they screwed you over. They set you up for you to fail. I did the video, tried to warn. You're not listening. So, Oakes's Tuesday talk at BYU. Last weekend, when I wasn't shut down, and it was a long weekend too. Groundhog Day. Was it? No. It was the 9th. What happened on that Monday? They should have seen me on Monday, but I guess they didn't, because, I don't know, maybe, he says that Oakes was planning this talk for the 10 days. And so for those 10 days, my videos covered every single topic that he brought up in his video. Every single one. I did the video of that talk for you. He did every single video. That's why. Okay. And so, let's see, BYU, it was, nope, that's the full one. I probably still have it in this other file. Or do I? I don't know. Are you kidding me? I put it loosely in here. There's the Hawaii one. This, no, that's a different one. Maybe. I've got all of his BYU devotional talks too. So this is not helping me. Oh, that's, of course. So, need to find the 2026. Seriously? Coming closer, yeah, that's it. 22 minutes. That's not really the subject of his talk either, as I went over with you. It's a deception. 22 minutes. And I called everything in it. Everything. So much so that I joked in a previous video this morning that on that Monday, he must have heard all the videos from the weekend, that morning, and put it all in his talk. That's a great idea. But not just that. But on the 10th video reply, you will notice a picture that is new, taken from an older picture I've been using for each and every single week on Thursday when no new apostle is called. I put Gilbert in on that Tuesday for that video. And I did it again on Wednesday. And I did it again on Thursday. And I tried to be tricky on Thursday by holding off deliberately until after I would have done my video on the racism in the church. And I didn't fall for it, and yet I called it in that video. And discussed Gilbert as the top-ranked choice. And sure enough, as I'm about to save it, or post it actually, it already got made, as I was about to post it on YouTube, I see the email from Idaho Chick reporting that he had been called to be the apostle. So I went back, added the title that I did. I called it. I called everything in his talk, exposing it as a lie and a fraud, and called the next apostle. And this is their response. Because last week's videos all about Oaks' talk. As I let everybody know who I am by my fruits of the scientific method. Study their words, and you will know them. You will be able to predict what they will say. You will be able to predict what they will do. The scientific method. trumps the spiritual method of this church. And the scientific method is the true spirit method of seer, prophet, revelator, translator, with the keys of the man like Moses. I am him, Mormons, and this is how the church is treating me. And what are you doing about it? There should be an immediate protest at Temple Square demanding the church hand it over to me for this great evil that is just a continuation of the evils that they've been doing to me my whole life since moving to Utah. Who has honor and integrity? They will try to murder you too. So do you fear death, or will you be a slave to them? No other choices. None. Okay? So, the big con is the same con that all con men use. All religious cult groups use it. All people who try to steal money from others use it. And it's that they give off the appearance of something that is tangible and real. And in order to convince you of it, you have to feel good about it. And trust them. Hand over the money first. That's it. That's the con. No physical witness. Using Christianity's template of spiritual witness feelings to con people. Because Christianity has been conning people for 1701 year now. With 4 billion suckers and losers every minute. Circus guy, was it Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus? Or was it just one of them or whatever? I don't know. I know it's that one guy who said it. There's a sucker born every minute. So yeah, the circus, it's entertaining. A bearded lady. Ooh. Scary. A person who can put a sword down his throat. Oh boy. Oh no, mirrors! I'm deformed! I better go on a starvation diet! Oh wow, he's able to put his head in a tiger! Ooh, too soon? It's been a while. And so, the church keeps telling you to find out if the Book of Mormon is true. Gilbert, likewise. That was his whole conversion. The Book of Mormon is true because he had read it in 3 weeks, I think. He said he had 1 week left in the MTC, and he went to Japan. And so, to learn the language, you get an extra couple of weeks, I believe, because English is 2 weeks. And so the others were staying, and then I'd see them in the New York mission because their visas hadn't gone through yet. And so likewise with the church. Get the right feeling that the church is true. And Joseph Smith's first vision, that it's true. They never explain truth. People are left to interpret it however they want. And as long as we get the right feeling and pay the church money to join the church, then it must have been the right one. Problems will ensue. Nonetheless, with the Book of Mormon example, well, all of them actually, because the name of the church is Jesus Christ. Book of Mormon, as missionaries, we're to take the investigator to 3 Nephi chapter 11. See, Jesus, Book of Mormon is true. Pray and get the right feeling. Name of the church, Jesus Christ. True, get the right feeling. Join. Start paying. Joseph Smith saw Jesus Christ. Get the right feeling. And you never stop to ask yourself the big, gigantic, enormous elephant that's so poignant in the room. Yeah, I'm using it back on you, Gilbert. It only comes from one place, and it's the Joseph Smith history, verse 8, about not knowing which church to join. And though my feelings were often deep and poignant, nevertheless, I stayed away from apostates. Peggy did not push him. She just covered the topic and let him say what he said. Peggy. It was really hopeful for yours. Really hopeful. Nonetheless. And so, yeah, Jesus. If Jesus is true, then you can say that Jesus is the one in the Book of Mormon. If Jesus is true, then that's the name for the church. If Jesus is true, then that's the one in the first vision. That's the common denominator. Jesus. But the church says, well, if you find out the Book of Mormon is true, with the right feeling, then all the rest are true. You're done. You don't need to pray about the church if you know the Book of Mormon is true. What about David Wimmer? Oliver Cowdery? Sidney Rigdon? Alpheus Cutler? James Strang? Lucy Smith? Emma Smith? William Smith? Never stop to think about that, huh? Yeah, the whole big question is about Jesus. I caught on as a kid getting baptized and being told about the first vision. Joseph Smith in the Grove prayed as a 14-year-old boy to find out which church to join. And reading the Bible, not the Book of Mormon, he interpreted it according to the words and acted on those words as written. And he received a vision, not a literal history. He then became, with that vision, Messiah ben Joseph. 2 Nephi chapter 3. Second vision is that Joseph Smith, with a Book of Mormon, is supposed to set up an order for the coming of Messiah ben David. Not his second coming. That's not Jewish. That's Christian, which Joseph Smith had already explained to you is all wrong, all abominable, and all corrupt, aka Jesus. In the video I did today, first off, with lots of pictures that I was getting and got attacked, is all about why Matthew talks about Jesus and not Emmanuel, which is the prophecy name of Isaiah. Spoiler alert, in case you haven't seen that video yet. Jesus is the name Isaiah. It's the same name. So Isaiah gives the prophecy wording. This is the prediction of the future. Matthew then uses that prediction of the future with the calendar dates and clock times given by Isaiah in that one verse to tell a vision story. Seer. All Jews followed that pattern. That's why different names for the protagonist are used. That's why you see patterns. That's why the Zeitgeist movement saw patterns with other previous religions than Christianity. No duh. Everybody wrote scripture. Christianity turned it all literal history and chose which ones they approved of. Revelation almost didn't make it because it's too out there as literal history. There's some stuff that obviously cannot be explained other than to confess, yeah, it's visionary, symbolic stuff. So, not the others? So, for one example that you guys might know, is Revelation chapter 19, where Christians say Jesus rides a white horse for his second coming from outer space. So, the Romans and the Greeks have their Jesuses in the personification of Hercules and Perseus. Clash of the Titans. Perseus rides the white horse to battle the Kraken with Medusa's snakehead. Ta-da! And instead, you think that Perseus and Hercules are fake news. Only Jesus is true. And you can't say that they're prophecies because you already turned them into literal histories. And therefore fake. You've sabotaged yourself with Christianity. So yes, the whole big thing is about Jesus. Because the Book of Mormon is physically real. The name and the church, physically real. The first vision, physically real in written form. Joseph was real. He was physically real. But Jesus, even though the church says he's physically real, see in the Book of Mormon, see in the Bible, see in Joseph Smith's history, see in the name of the church, physically real, a body of flesh and bone as tangible as man's, separate and distinct from Heavenly Father, of whom we can see face to face as one man speaketh to another. I'm incorporating the scriptures that talk about that. From the words of the living prophets, from other teachings, from manuals. We say Jesus lives. He's real. And Mormons say it in their testimonies. I have a testimony that Jesus Christ lives. I have faith that Jesus Christ lives. I have a witness that Jesus Christ lives. It's all the same. Different words, same meaning. No. That's a Christian thing to do. And so, to know if Jesus, using the scientific method of physical reality, is true, we don't use the scientific method. Here's the con. You find out about these other things being true through the Spirit. Failings, which is a 50-50 chance. Right or wrong. Feel this day which you will choose. And that's it. So Jesus is known only through feelings to be true physically. The big con. Oakes even came out and confessed in the Boise Rescue. I'm an apostle to testify of the name. But you, just like me, can know Jesus is physically real by our feelings. So did Joseph Smith physically see Jesus or not? See, if you keep pushing it, and the pressure is massive on the church to explain themselves, they will say, well, we don't have the plates, but obviously it's true. No, it's not obvious. That way, but the spirit way that I told you about, seer, prophet, revelator, translator, the scientific method, yeah, that way it's true. So that way, yes, other contemporary authors wrote the Book of Mormon. Sidney Rigdon, Oliver Cowdery had a small portion in it. They used Parley P. Pratt because they wanted a reason to get Sidney Rigdon into the church. Parley P. Pratt was a member of Sidney's church. And so that was the whole thing, to get Sidney Rigdon into the church to pay him for his work on the Book of Mormon. Through having him teach, having a Sunday service with his Campbellite Baptists, laying on of hands, and the sacrament. And what he really wanted, and Alexander Campbell said no, was to revise the whole Bible. So what did Sidney Rigdon immediately begin working on when he joined the church and became Joseph's #1 right-hand man? The Joseph Smith revision of the Bible. And so as he got to do that, Joseph Smith, aka Joseph Smith Sr., the one who rewrote the 116 pages, because he was there with William Morgan with the enemy threat to America. So only he knew of that whole operation. And as the Master Mason of that lodge, it was his responsibility to rescue William Morgan and get him out of the country to save his life, and make sure that his wife and kids are taken care of in his absence, and to make sure that the membership records of the lodge get kept, and to get that book written and published. Mission accomplished. Joseph Smith Sr. is an American hero who saved America on 9/11/1826. And nobody knows about it unless you heard it from me. Because nobody else is doing the research. Everybody else is praying to get the faith promotion or doubt promotion. And so, no. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is a fraud, as Hinckley said. All he had to do was run that scientific method test from the Scriptures. By their fruits ye shall know them. Fruits are physically real. It is not a spiritual witness feeling. Everybody knows this. And yet, 4 billion people, that include Mormons, botch it. Okay, so I don't have to worry about posting it tonight. So. I'll just save it, head off to bed, start watching Mission Impossible, or not Mission Impossible, Missing in Action. That's next on my list. 1 and 2. I don't think I have the others. But anyway. So we'll start with the church news interviewing. Gilbert you do know Stephen Colbert. The same T going silent in French. So I'm teasing in that sense. He says he's only there to minister to just one person. And I covered this when Nelson gave that video. Talking about ministering to the one. And he gave us his example of being in a meeting, and they were the conductor got up to lead the hymn, and the audience was not singing the right hymn. And so afterward, Nelson went to her to comfort her. Well, no, you don't minister to those who don't need ministering. It was the audience's fault, not hers. Dear God. And I've seen that. You have loud, outspoken members who are able to alter the direction. I saw it in the MTC during one of our big meetings by the mission president. And he got pissed. Don't do that again. And so another incident was one missionary stood for the hymn. Did you get told to rise? No, sit down. And instead, others then said, oh, do I stand? I don't know. Do I stand? I guess I'll stand. And others started standing. Not me. And yeah, again, he had to chew out everybody for standing when you were not asked to stand. Follow the directions of the conductor. And Mormons were disobedient then too. So no. Dear God. You know, one and done. It's not scriptural. And yeah, there's the one scripture. If you labor all your life and all you accomplished was one person saved, how great shall be your reward. Keep reading. Keep reading. So I know very well If I can only get one person convinced that the church isn't true and to get to Zion for safety, peace, safety, and refuge, I've failed. Zion is a failure. It ain't gonna happen with one, especially if it's a man, not a woman. A complete and utter extermination of mankind is a failure. Dear God. And so, yeah, Sister Gilbert, she's not used to public speaking because she was flushed, she was rushing her speech, and clearly she was overwhelmed, not knowing what to say and in the moment, and she's still in shock of, the $1 million bonus. He confesses. It's like I know exactly what these guys are going to say before they say it. How can I do that? Is it magic? Is it of the devil? To know the words of a prophet before he says it is of the devil? Gotcha, Mormons. That's why they're pissed. And I got the internet back. Oh crap. Damn! Can't post it tonight. It's back. What the bleeping hell? At 7:29 p.m. It's back, baby. Mother bleepers. Oh, dear God. I should, right now, go onto my email and see who's loyal to me. Name names. You bastards. Unbelievable. Oh, dear God. So, yeah, I guess somebody finally must have gotten through to maintenance or the manager, and they finally were able to get over and coordinate with the internet company maintenance guy to get it all fixed. Dear God. Because the church would never have let this go. This would have been permanent. So now the big question, do I just do this video, save it for tomorrow, and do the 3 tomorrow? Most likely. So, yeah, I will just, there's lots of pages. I'm already up to an hour. I'll skim over it, cover the highlights, emphasize them, and laugh. Like I just did. Because the rest really isn't that vital. So I'm only going to cover the important parts for you. And so, yeah, and when you understand, he got $1 million bonus, unless it's more, because of his 8-cow wife. And the reason for that is Irene's paycheck stub that got leaked. Do they honestly think I forgot about this? Do they not listen to my videos where I talk about the $1 million bonus? It came from Paul Adams, who the church destroyed. He was doing YouTube videos out of his car. So, where are you? several of them, but the one that got left behind on this device in the files is from 2000. So yes, he has a child allowance for my one-on-one with Irene's daughter that I told you about. There it is, child allowance. And here, the child allowance for his daughter, who's staying at the home, is just $76.92 for this one pay period from 7/22/2000 to 8/4/2000. So 2 weeks. She gets a living allowance as the daughter of a prophet, staying at home, being taken care of by him, of $76.92. The living allowance, Priestcraft, which means is an additional perpetual payment of $2,192.31. And then there's this thing called parsonage, which I could check the internet now and find out. What's parsonage? We probably should. I might get cyber attacked again, but less so on Google than on Microsoft. As long as I stay away from the church. I'm suspecting that it has to do with his religious expenditures. A parson, so work as a parson. So that would cover travel expenses and meals and hotels and wherever he's assigned around the world. He has to obtain the checks and submit it, and then he gets the refund. That's the way the church does it at the ward level. The support given by a patron, yeah. You can close. I click close. You're not closing. And so you can see that he wrote on his paycheck stub, tithing and in care, and he put a check mark by tithing. And so it's automatically taken out anyway, right? Because we were told, you want a tithing taken out of your check? No. Are you sure? We strongly encourage you to take it out of your check. No. See, this was back when it was the Corporation of the President of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. COP 106/5100-000. His employee ID number is 083504. His daughter is all grown up and married now, I hope. She was very concerned about it that one-on-one time. And so he has federal withholding, DMBA insurance. That actually is a very good insurance. It's just a lot of money, and that's why it's a good insurance. But that's why, it's because it's for the church. So if you get on DMBA insurance, it will be good. So yeah, you don't need Obamacare, you don't need Trump's care. Because the church uses it, it's good to use. And Mormons catch on to this, by the way. That's why they try to get their bank account at Zion's, because the church uses Zion's, and then Zion's now screws you because you're not the leaders. 24-hour AD&D, SGTL, Utah withholding, Thrift AT, DMBA Insurance has a separate one there. That's just 6 cents on that one. And then checking. So that's probably savings, I'm guessing, put into his checking account. I don't know. And so, yeah, his net pay ended up being $1,288.33 for 2 weeks, which is pretty good. Has to be. He lives in the hills of Bountiful. That was very expensive. I know all about it because I lost Kimberly over charity in the Book of Mormon. Who's the one who has a scientific method testimony? Come on, Kimberly. I liked you. So I also see as a federal allowance of married, 0. So, yeah, they don't list his social security number. They inked that one out, I guess. Yeah, you kind of need to. That would have been a big scandal if you left the social security number in. We would not be having this picture spread all over the world otherwise. Maybe we would. You'd have to get a new social security number. Dear God. So, yeah, this is now what Gilbert gets. And so child allowance for 8 kids, some 26 years later, it's gonna skyrocket. Dear God. And so, yeah, it'll be thousands of dollars for the child allowance. You know, at least 500, depending on how much. But because the children have to go traveling with them, the expenditures for the living allowance and a parsonage are also going to go up. Because the kids go with them wherever they go when assigned around the world. So stay tuned for that. When you hear of him going to a foreign country, you know that he's going to get a massive rebate for this. That's what it's all about. This is the priestcraft of the Lord. And that's why Sister Gilbert is so flustered right now. Because he says, we're going on vacation. We're going to Disneyland. Nobody else is, so there's great discounts now. I saw that in the news the other night. Nobody is going to the Disneylands in America. They're all going to the foreign ones, the Euro Disney and such. Because everybody hates America. He talks about that. Good job, Peggy. You got him to say something stupid. He's gonna deport you guys. I told you so. Oh my God. So yeah, the teens got out early today from imprisoning and gassing the dogs. Yeah, I don't understand why they're not dating. They all obviously like each other. They're in that denial mode. Nonetheless. And so, yeah, he keeps referring over and over again to his Boston days and the one young boy who called his wife, not him. You have to understand, he's the one who set up the extra restrictions at BYU for being alone with somebody in a room who's of the opposite sex. That plays a part in this as we get into it. And so, yeah, fine, whatever. That's an emotional ploy to talk about a struggling young teen boy that he clearly wasn't able to pull out of poverty. In Boston. But for him to emphasize, he called my wife, not me. That's a Freudian. So I'm kind of concerned about her. But, you know, there's some other things he makes the claim of that she keeps him in line. I don't know. So, here it is in the Church News version. You can't serve in the kingdom unless you are temporally provided for. Child allowance, living allowance, parsonage. He just confessed to knowing how much he's getting paid and the $1 million bonus, which could be more. He is now compromised to the church. He cannot whistleblow anymore. He cannot say, I'm out, like James J. Hamula. Because now this comes into play. For God will not be mocked by Travis. Again. Another time. Perpetually. So he says he's been blessed temporarily. He's confessing to getting paid to be an apostle and perpetually paid to be an apostle. Priestcraft 101. And that's how he justifies it. I am serving in the kingdom, and so I need to be temporally provided for. That's how he justifies it. All of his work wasn't enough for him to retire on. He's only my age, minus 3 months. He is not retirement capacity, especially with 8 kids. Nowhere near. He gets reimbursed for his travels because of the jobs he's been in. That's why they're able to travel the world. So, yeah, even though he gets paid a lot, you know, like my parents, they chose to have kids rather than be a single couple with no kids or one token kid, which many back in those days did, because it was getting too expensive because of Reagan economics that got started. It started screwing up the economy immediately. So by the end of the 80s, as I was graduating high school, they told us outright, The majority of you will not own your own home. The American dream is no longer for you. Sucks to be you now. So yeah, good luck getting deep in debt with student loans. Life's about to suck. Here's your diploma. My parents never understood that, because my dad was of the older generation that benefited by getting higher education, where you go into a job with your resume and they see, oh, okay, you've got a master's in business finance. Okay, great. Then your starting salary is this. Oh, it's a bachelor's? Okay, well, your starting salary is lower, but this. That's how it used to be determined. Now, yeah, you're well overqualified for this job that we have to pay you minimum wage. Here's your apron, here's your spatula, start flipping those burgers, Mr. PhD. But not in my dad's generation. A new economy took over and destroyed it. And here we are with the spiritual witness feelings economy of Bitcoin. It's the spiritual method economy. You're supposed to feel good about it. So that was really the big thing. So, Sarah Murphy, very disappointed girl. But the thing to pay attention to, she's a young single woman. She's a wicked apostate, not being married and having kids. As a result, his wife made sure to be in the room with him. Despite Sarah wearing black. She's a black widow. And I also noticed a wider gap between all of them. Gilbert, Sarah, and wife. The wife was able to look Sarah in the eye as she's asking questions to her husband. And this only was a 3-minute video, Sarah. They each had 10 minutes. And a couple of them went overtime. Nonetheless, dear God, just 10 minutes. Come on, guys. And so, yeah, Sarah had a unique interviewing technique. It was kind of impressive. It was not Peggy's style, though. It's interesting to compare the two of them together. Fascinating. And so, yeah, but Sarah made sure to use a reference before asking a question. And that was the reason for her questioning, is a previous reference of what he said or Oak said to justify making her question. That was quite clever of Sarah. But the type of questions, yeah, I can sort of see that she's wanting to start off with a fluff piece to make him feel confident and let his guard down. Talking about him wanting to be a rock star. But he then talked about, again, I'm trying to point everybody to Jesus. This is an amazing time. But he said something, and Sarah caught it and followed up with a question on that. Good for you, Sarah. It's about hastening the second coming. Gilbert said, the second coming is hastening. And it's going to be a hard time. Not for him, but for you, who are not temporally provided for, or blessed temporally. So good for Sarah to get him to say that, because he then got told by the 12 in the meeting, the second coming is any day now, like I've been warning. And so yes, he was purposely brought in to be loyal so that he can flee with his family when Armageddon hits, or go to prison and abandon his family, leaving them alone without a husband who's now a prisoner for his crimes. God. And if I end up seeing his wife and kids in Zion, I'm gonna cry. Just break down and cry. But the question is, how much is the wife an accomplice? Because apparently they talk about everything to each other. As he said, he stayed up late with her talking. We're rich, where are we gonna go? We get to go on vacation for the weekend. Can you imagine that? Because they didn't know about the signing bonus. But that's the compromise. Russia uses it all the time. And they'll also use, instead of money, cute little honeypot Russian girls. Typically under 18. So, yeah, oh, dear God. I cringe of Gilbert. If the church wins and gets their Zion, and being called upon to hand over his daughters. Ugh. How could you let this happen, Mormons? Dear God. It was bad enough that Nelson did that musical performance with the Gethsemane girl. But Oakes is all into child bride polygamy, as his talk at BYU said so. Young girls, you're not breeding. And I've warned you. You're not listening. Dear God. And the Epstein files comes out and the church is directly tied to it. Not just the Huntsmans. Not just through Musk, through that other Mormon. Not through others. God. Why, Mormons? So the gospel's more visible. He wouldn't answer the question for Sarah. But she was able to get that much out of him. And so yeah, he beaten around the bush to divert away from answering the question directly. He did that on several others too. Especially Peggy. And so again, the teen boy from Boston called his wife. And so yeah, he's also told Sarah that he gets to spend time with his family. We all know that's a lie when a politician says, I'm quitting to spend time with my family. No, he's not spending time with his family. He's going on vacation with his family with the bonus that he got. So KUTV2 is the one main guy, anchorman. I don't remember the name, and they didn't show his name. I'm just supposed to know it because I'm supposed to be loyal to KUTV2 over the others. He's a main anchor, and he did the interview. And so he asked how the call came. And yeah, Wednesday was the Church Board of Education meeting. And afterward, Oakes then called him in. And so this confirms to me that I called it. Oakes didn't see my video, he didn't get a report of it, to be notified. Travis knows you're gonna call Gilbert. I called it. And thus I got shut down. But I'm back, baby. I'm back, and it's gonna hurt. And so the Thursday meeting, like I said, is for the whole corporate board. And so he then exposed that meeting, he was told his duties, saying that everybody was reminded of their duty. No, it was for you in the presence of all of them. You just got paid $1 million signing bonus, as I'm using as a token example, because it may be more and whatever. Because Paul was way back in the 2016-17s when he did the video on that. And so, yeah, what also he needs to be concerned about, now that he's been brought into the inner circle, now he's been compromised, he's been tempted with money because he has a family to take care of, so that was easy to do. Right, Avraham Gileadi, is that he's the low man on the totem pole. Anybody remember the test run of Oakes in 2020? Creeping death. Who got infected in the Quorum of the 12? The bottom three and Holland. You have a wife and 8 children, Gilbert. I know you're a Nazi at BYU, because Peggy covered it in a video that I covered the other day. But still, this is the church's trap. They make you evil. They make you criminal. They make you abusive. By the lies, the big con. And then they betray you because it's a test of loyalty. Will you still be faithful to the church when we ask for your daughters? Get the right feeling. This is a very sensitive subject for me, as you can tell. That's why I'm very vocal and angry over this one. And that's why the church gets very angry at me and severely retaliates me for this one. It's a very sensitive subject for them. Shut up, Travis! Shut up! No! I will not shut up on this. So, again, pointing to Jesus Christ, he asked about secularization versus religion. He said, we mix it. You can't. I told you in the videos. Then Oakes got up and said it at BYU. No. He then referred to Peggy's Trib story about him being a culture warrior. I think he left some words out. But instead he responded to spiritual mission at BYU. Biggest challenge in the church is unprecedented growth. That's a challenge, because it's not growing, it's shrinking. Percentage-wise, it should be growing exponentially, but it's not. We're shrinking. We've reached our pyramid scheme top. It's over. That's why the church has been pushing other forms of economic investments. Is because they're not getting the money in tithing that they were hoping to be getting at this point. And yeah, it was because of the internet and social media in 2011. 15 million gone. Oh, dear God. Let's see. And yeah, I diverted by saying there's growth in institute. Yeah, that's because you're manipulating the numbers. You lowered the age of young adults to include the ones up to 35. And so, yeah, obviously there's more. It's a bait and switch shell game. Just what Monson pulled by lowering the age of missionaries to 18 and 19, and thus, oh, more missionaries. Wow, unprecedented numbers. It's a con. I did these videos all these years. And yeah, the membership growth. I'm the one who caught it because nobody else did. When Nelson got up at conference and said, "And a major city yet to be determined in Russia, did you check the membership stats for Russia?" Oh, gone. Where'd they go? You can't see them. In 2020. And Shanghai. Where's China? Oh, Russia's back. Still the same number. Still no temple. What did happen to that money? I know you got compromised by Russia with the $32 billion that you laundered into the stock market, and that got you exposed with the SEC for only $5 million. Dear God. And leaving the secular world without, yeah, he again abused us for leaving. He doesn't understand. He doesn't care. He thinks that we leave to be secular, to be hedonist heathens, godless heathens, and that we have no peace, therefore. Yeah, this is name-calling bullying, and it gets spread to Mormons, and they then say, yeah, you're an anti-Mormon. No, you are. You're using the spiritual method. I use the scientific method. I've got the physical evidence to prove it. You've got nothing. And so then his personal life, he kept saying, my wife. Oops. You've got 8 kids, dude. You need to say her name. You owe her to say her name. Sleeping on the couch. Oh, wait. She got the money too? Never mind. You're safe for a little while now. She'll let that go. So yeah. Dear God. Travel the world. And he forces his kids to do reports. Dear God. Leave them alone. Do other ways to teach them. You're already giving them world travel. And so his passion is pickleball. Oh, crap. Oh, my wife made me ask. He claims he's reading 4 to 5 books at a time. Travel and learn. So yeah, he likes to travel. So he's great for fleeing the country when it all hits the fan. We're not perfect. We're witnesses of Jesus. Why you? Oh, it's not for education. That's what they were thinking, is that because he was involved with the education of the church, that therefore Oakes needed somebody in education. I told you he needed somebody in the legal field, because Cook is about to die. And so I guess he's thinking, well, once Cook dies, then we'll just replace him with a lawyer at that point. For the Strengthening Church Members Committee. Who have failed Oakes bigly. A massive, humiliating disgrace. Unbelievable, guys. You suck. Oh, wow. And then children need to keep their covenants. Children to keep their covenants. What are the covenants? Polygamy. Child, bride, polygamy. Already, I guess he's planning on handing over his daughters. Trib again? Oh, no. Okay. Oh, yeah. He asks he goes back to the Trib, saying the Trib said this. He's trying to get the Trib in trouble. He's trying to get Peggy in trouble, I guess. Hey, you're a controversial pick. What's your response and reaction? And so here it is, the big con, used on Mormons. The Lord called me. Dallin Harris Oakes is the prophet who speaks for Jesus, and Jesus called me through Oakes. But again, nobody's ever run the test for Jesus. The big con. This is why Mormons get fooled, and why they have no honor and integrity when they get compromised, especially. Point to Jesus Christ. Okay, then KSL. Oops, wait a minute, we still have Brooks. She did a 3-minute thing, and then she did the full interview thing. Brooke. So, yeah, that living allowance is what came to mind. Yeah, Wednesday she mentioned, or no, first morning in MTC. Oh, yeah, his conversion. He confesses it's only from the Book of Mormon that he got the right feeling. That's it. And he's going off on Jesus. That Jesus tells Oakes what to do, and Oakes does it. So therefore, church is true. Therefore, the Book of Mormon is true. Therefore, Joseph Smith is true, as literal histories. His whole testimony is based on fraud. And the fact that he confesses that he didn't even have a testimony going out into the mission field and he was in the MTC. And that apparently he read the Book of Mormon for the first time in the MTC. Dude, were you not part of that program when Benson got up and talked about the Book of Mormon challenge? And all of us challenged to read the Book of Mormon and put our names to Benson. We read the Book of Mormon, and I took my picture. I need to put that picture in. The seminary pick of me. Okay. must get that in. Oh God, I'm still going to end up going to bed late tonight. And so yeah, it's not how you do it. You know no better that now than you did then that you don't know. Because Matthew, I was going over it with you with the context of the Book of Mormon. You got to do the same thing with the Book of Mormon, the same way I did with Matthew. And then the other video I did. Not listening. And okay, yeah, it's more than a feeling. More than a feeling. More than a feeling. Feeling. We'll see. It could be Gangster's Paradise too. The cover band, the white cover band version. State of Mind. It's a pretty good version. Let's see, where's Brooke? Here we are. So, Brooke is pregnant. She's expecting another baby. Wants to be on Trump's new baby policy, I guess. Or she's a faithful Mormon, also gushing and blushing over a living prophet of Jesus. You now speak for Jesus. She was alone, other than the photographer. She was closer than Sarah. Because she's pregnant, married, pregnant. So they don't consider her a threat. Her a threat. And so yes, what he did at BYU, he's doing in his personal life as an apostle now. So yeah, confirmed, called Wednesday after the meeting, went to his office. I'm pretty sure it's the same office. When you're in the square between the church office building and the administration building, it's the one that facing the backside. It's the one right window there off to the left. It's not the lower basement, lower ground level one, but it's the one right there at eye level when you're there at the bench, which has now been remodeled. So I only remember previously. That's his office, or the president of the church's office. Whether Nelson changed it, Oakes changed it, Monson changed it, I don't know. They could do that, I guess. Say, I want the penthouse office. But typically, it's there in the back to the left. And so that's the office that he went to. So they were meeting in the main room that they've shown pictures for, because I would discuss it in my videos. And so they said, okay, we got to explain it to the members now that Travis is leaking it. So yeah, we now know the Board of Education meets on Wednesdays, the 12 apostles with the presidency on Thursdays. I think the Strengthening Church Members Committee is Tuesdays. This is also telling. Now I knew about this, but I wasn't sure because they never actually came out and said it. Because oftentimes they will want a quick reporting from each department, and so I didn't know if Wednesdays are multiple groups doing reporting and they get 10 minutes, like the interviews, 10 minutes, and that's it, that's all, and you got to be precise and to the point and done in 10 minutes, like your conference talks. You got 10 minutes as a 70. You got 15 minutes as an apostle, 20 minutes as a first presidency. That used to be the standard. Under Nelson, I saw some wavering on that. Nonetheless. And so, no, this is very clear. Different days have different people meeting. So that was interesting. And so I think Tuesdays, and that's why they didn't get word to him. I told them, rush, get it to him immediately. Do it now. I even told them previous weeks ago, you cannot ignore my videos on the weekend and wait until your Tuesday meeting. And so again, on Tuesday, Gilbert will now be finally notified of me, file number 36434. I'm going to get a barcode for it. Just like the Jews did in Nazi Germany. And they're going to be asking him, were you really living there in Oakland together? Is he the reason for the eye? And he'll be going home. Hello, Mom. Do you know Wayne and Judy Goodsell? Oh, yeah, from Oakland. They had a son. What was his name? Travis? Yeah. And then they had another one, Todd. Yeah. You'll then find out Todd is in the church office building right across from him. And is the one failing about who the older brother is doing better videos on it than he is in his PhD field that he pulled the religion card on with spiritual method because he couldn't do the scientific method. That's what I was thinking the whole time, every time he repeated that. Wait till you find out about Todd. BYU, not the world's way. Oh my God. Oh, just hilarious. If I don't hurry, I'm going to have to do this one tomorrow. But seriously, hilarious. Let's put in Irene paycheck stub. Gilbert, me. Oakland. Just in case it ends up being tomorrow. We're getting closer to finished. So let's see if we can get it under 2. Oh, dear God. And so, yeah, I use his poignant again. So, yeah, let's see. Book of Mormon, the final week left in the MTC. So I'm thinking it took him 3 weeks to read his Book of Mormon. Unless it's more for Japanese. I vaguely recall an extra extension for certain languages. Like 2 months, maybe. And that would make more sense for him to finish the Book of Mormon in almost 2 months. Let's see. He says, as a 70, he was a resource to the 12. Yeah, obviously. That was the whole purpose of Joseph Smith, was the 70 help the 12. The 12 are the administrators over their particular thing. The High Council was the administrative. The 12 apostles were the missionary. And that's why, as the president of the 12, Thomas B. Marsh assigns the 70 to go out 2 by 2 to establish the church with conversions. And Brigham Young and Heber C. Kimball were sabotaging the whole system when they joined in 1832 in April. We have scriptures to prove it. Even their own words, actually. Dear God. He says he interviewed the 12, and I caught that it was Irene who says it's to witness that Jesus is the Christ for the use of tech. But with the Salt Lake Tribune, he then said it was Christofferson. So I didn't bother to go back to KSL to figure it out for Brooke. That's not vital. And again, he referred to the inner city youth Boston. Point to Jesus Christ. Oh, dear God, stop it, dude. Just stop. Dear God, there is no Jesus. And so, kids' questions of Brooks. She's aspiring to be an 8-cow woman, I guess. You go, girl. What kind of a relationship with Jesus do you have? And he says, eyewitness to the name. But you, little girl, can have the same relationship with Jesus that I have. That's exactly what Oak said at the Boise Rescue. We're putting the Boise Rescue. Boise Rescue with Gilbert. There we go. There we go. So the future. How can Jesus Christ speak to us? And so he refers back to Nelson's Hear Him program, where all the apostles did a Hear Him video. Oh dear God, what a mess that was. No, you don't hear him. That's the whole point. It's a feeling. He says, feeling. I felt that it was true. It was poignant. It's a feeling. It's not a hearing. They're using physical wording for feelings. This is a manipulation of a con man. And Oakes, he threw Oakes under the bus. After becoming president, and like I said, the 10 days before he announced it, he planned to be the speaker to talk about the results 50 years later from Kimball's second century talk. And that's word for word of my videos. He planned it and didn't have an opportunity to pay attention to my videos. He's trusting in the Strengthening Church Members Committee. They weren't able to get the report to him on the Tuesday, and they missed it, and so therefore he never knew. And I called it word for word. And Gilbert to be the replacement. I called it. And Mormons will still live in denial. But yeah, he confesses, I was right. He's wrong. And so my internet was shut off. So, yeah, he says, the Lord told Oakes what to say. It was me. I speak for the Lord. Or am I the Lord? Just not Jesus. Okay, Peggy, finish off with you. Can we do it in 8 minutes? Probably not. So yeah, we'll do this tomorrow. Unbelievable. So, the Salt Lake Tribune with Peggy. They never showed her. She was off in the distance, so you could barely hear her. Come on, Peggy, we wanted to see what you were wearing. Were you wearing black like Sarah? Come on, Peggy, we need to see you in action. You're the best star we have for this. Even though Sarah is doing pretty well. She's getting there. Still needs some work. Standing up to patriarchal male abuse. And so, yeah, she talks about the disruption by getting this calling. It's kind of a play on words. And so he says, oh, my path started in Boston. God, get over it. There's more to life since Boston. You've had more kids since then. Aren't they more important than Boston? That's the sad reality. He is not focusing on his family and his kids. He talks about them when he's asked about them. But when he's talked about the church, it's not about the family and breeding, as Oakes wants it to be. It's all about missionary work for him. Ministering to the one who called his wife instead. That's a teen boy. What are you doing giving him your phone number? And so, yeah, he said he was offered tenure. He decided to go to BYU, Idaho. Whoop-de-doo. And then he talks about people leaving. How do we keep them in the faith? Well, we lock them up in the basement and starve them to death until they confess that Jesus is Christ. We're pointing them to Jesus. So he then says, Oakes' talk was for the whole church, and I called it word for word. You heard my words from my videos from Oakes. Oh, it's going to be humiliating on Tuesday for Oakes. And then he talks about mental challenges. You just talked about Oakes, and now you mentioned mental challenges of members? Because Oakes has a mental problem, tardive dyskinesia, psychotropic drugs. Interesting. You're throwing Oakes under the bus, huh? Biting the hand that just fed you $1 million bonus. Again, point to Jesus, focus on Jesus, witness to the name. God. And so then Peggy asked about polarization. So she threw in a lighten the mood question at the beginning. Then she goes into apostates. Now she's going into polarization. And about, is he going to be a bridge builder? Obviously he's not, Peggy. So he brings up the screw tape letters. Oh yeah, I love the screw tape letters. It's all about how they try to get people to leave religion. Having a political identity as your focus on faith. That your faith must be forced into the political identity. That religion is politics. And yes, in America, that's what it's becoming. And so, yeah, politicizing religion. And so he says you need to be anchored in the gospel of Jesus and in Jesus. Well, there's no Jesus to anchor to. The big con. He's given you the false equivalent or the false dichotomy choices. It's not agency if it's just a one way or the other. That is not agency. Mormons think it is. You can obey or you can't. You can choose. We'll physically punish you, not spiritually, if you choose wrong. It's just so, God, evil. Critics' view of orthodoxy. Yeah, so now she throws in critics say that you view orthodoxy in a certain way. He would not answer her question, other than to say the doctrine of the church is very clear. That's her whole point. And then he says, point to the prophet's teachings and words. That's what I've been doing for 10 years. That is not the spiritual method. Now he's using the scientific method? No. Yeah, way to go, Peggy, to draw that out of him. Pivoted from Nelson to Oakes. He's a spokesman for Jesus. So yeah, he says he focused on Nelson, like I did. And now that Oakes is now the president, I focus on Oakes. And so yeah, spokesman for Jesus. Oh, it's not fair. Somebody's cooking food and I haven't eaten other than the pizza earlier. Not fair. Same-sex members. Save the best for last. We're not last yet. And so, should they get a temple recommend? He doesn't just say no. He says the interview questions are very clear. And he says other babblings that exposes it's very clear that Jesus forgives mistakes. So being LGBTQ is a mistake on your part, and you're not perfect. And then refers to the woman in adultery. Peggy rules. The master interrogator. And so he botches the interpretation of that parable or story. Saying that they didn't throw the first stone because they're hypocrites. They're committing adultery. They just didn't get caught. And he says that Jesus forgave her of adultery. Do it no more. And so Mormon kids would go in and say they had sex. Oh, we have to take away your temple record. But I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not with them anymore. The forgiveness video. By the church. A woman is going in for her temple recommend to get sealed in the temple. And she really loves this guy, Bishop. And then He says, is there anything in your life that you have not confessed to the local leader that needs to be repented of? I'm forgetting the line. And so she hesitates. You just say no and have him sign it. Unbelievable. And so, yeah, she says, well, there was this one guy a long time ago. We got a little close, and then they play music, and his facial expression, he's concerned. Her facial expression, she's getting concerned, but a different kind of concerned. And then in the end of the music, we're not going to get married. We're going to have you come in and see me regularly, and you probably should tell your parents. But I'm not with them anymore. Everybody's coming to the wedding. What am I going to tell them? Those are the wrong things to focus on at the moment. But yes, that's how Mormons thought. Many of them did. Is that all you have to do is no longer sin. They never understood the 5 stages of repentance. 5 R's of repentance. Recognize, remorse, restore, probably threw in repent, not understanding what it meant. And recover. I don't know. It's been so long. I'm sure it's in the manual, if I can find it from way back then. And God is the architect of the laws. Really? Not real Jesus is the architect of the laws, written by a man who was a Jew for the Jewish God. That God? And then the big one, women. As her final one, she cushioned the blow by what are your accomplishments? As a job interview question instead to lighten the load. So this was her big one on women. She didn't cover blacks, but she sort of did, because he talked about for ICE. Oh no, that's next. That's the big one. Oh, trying to get him to talk about, what should Oaks speak up against Trump? Okay, there it is. So women is not the big one. And so he refers to Oaks showing how much he cares for women because he seeks their counsel in committee meetings. But we've been doing that the whole time. There's nothing with women. There's nothing to say here. We're doing just fine. Oops. And so here it is from him. We have women feel safe to share their feelings. Why women are still in this church, I do not know. You need to be safe to share your feelings. Women are not safe. And he diverted and lied and didn't answer it. Way to go, Peggy. And then the Church of Immigrants. Should Oaks speak up for those in the United States? He did, actually. She didn't remember that they came out with First Presidency Statement right after Trump was inaugurated in the next month in February. The February that I was able to get away with, the cyber terrorist attack every year. But would it do any good to try to contact my government to let them know about this? No. because Pam Bondi is protecting him. If you missed that picture that I've been repeating. And so, yes, the Tribune, as I've covered, have been repeating this over and over again to egg and push Oakes to bully him to stand up to Trump. Thus, Trump, being angry, will crush the church. As Antifa. But he's not listening to me. And so he says, I have a painting by Kent Baxter about the embarkation of the saints. And that's why the third Church News video, or the Church News article, came out on Friday. There it is. That's why it was a week late, because he brought it up, and that's why they put it in the Church News that night. And I did the video for Saturday. And so he came out, she got him to say it, we must follow the law. Bye-bye, Mormons. Bye-bye. Get out. I warned you. I warned you. You're not listening. Even having Oakes speak my words. You're still not listening. You're still not listening. Section 119, guys. If you do not pay tithing, if you're not temporally provided for, get out. You're unworthy to live here. If you are LGBTQ, if you're an apostate, if you're colored, get out. We don't want you in this white supremacist Christian nationalist church of the devil. That's what he said. We follow the law. No, like Congress, who didn't get prosecuted, told our soldiers, do not follow a corrupt violation of the constitutional order. You are our soldiers to represent our Constitution. Just like for the church. The Book of Mormon is our keystone. Joseph Smith is our founder. Anybody violating them is wrong, and you are not to obey them. So that's what he meant by follow the law. And that was their excuse in Nazi Germany, to side with Hitler. That's why they brought the psychologists to Utah. And so then accomplishments, doing things in the Lord's way and in His time. Let go and trust God in a better way. That's Alcoholics Anonymous, isn't it? Let go and let God. Or that Christian also. Good God, that's a crap thing. And when you complain, you don't trust the Lord. I don't. Although I guess I'm the Lord who put the words in Oakes' mouth. The devil never supports his own, even those who are the head of the church of his. Because, well, it can be true. Lucifer is real. And so Lucifer watches all my videos and said, hey, that's a great idea. Hey, Oaks, use this in your talk. Use this. Yeah, for this line, put this. And so Lucifer is laughing with me. He got his head of the church to say my words in my videos that Oaks was going to say. And he said it. And Oaks knows I used that tactic similarly for each and every single conference that would come up. The Book of Mormon is being burned for conference. Joseph Smith is no longer the founder of the church. We're becoming Christian. The church closes for conference. But this one, this one was a gem. This was brilliant. Oh, I am on a roll, more so than last year, this year. You really need to take me seriously, as hilarious as this is. We are all in serious danger here, if you're not getting the point. So yeah, I'm calling. This was an extra thing Peggy didn't know, and she just came with whatever came to the top of her head to give her an extra 4 minutes. That'd be an overtime already. And so, yeah, how do you feel about your calling? Oh, it's overwhelming. Stayed up late with my wife on Wednesday night, talking about how we're going to spend the money. Shouldn't we include the kids? Oh, well, I guess, but they're going to get a child allowance. They don't need to know about the $1 million bonus. And it is Valentine's. Maybe they didn't do stuff with the family. Maybe it was just him and her. I don't know. And so, yeah, he said that they instead reviewed the 12 bios of all the apostles. Really? You didn't know already? I know them already. But, like you, I only focus on the president, for the most part. But, yeah, when somebody like you comes along, we'll cover it. Sure. Oh, Holland. He's going to shoot the gays. Oh. Porn causes COVID. And God's sperm. It's in the scriptures somewhere. Sure, we'll cover it. It's always good for a laugh. Oh my God. And so, yeah, they all had a common testimony of Jesus. Yeah, they came out with the proclamation of Jesus. They all signed it. Didn't you know about that? Don't you have it up as a picture in your house? Next to the family proclamation? Dear God, what kind of Mormon are you? And then this is where I said Christofferson for the future use tech. Oh, God. Precious and few. So yeah, we're going to bed. I'll be posting the other two and making this video in between. Oh, dear God. So, yeah, I got to catch up on the news. It's a holiday tomorrow, but the news really doesn't take time off on holidays. Had to change the batteries in this one today. I recognize the pattern of behavior that triggers that it's about to die. So I had a spare battery out here ready to go, and sure enough, when it froze on me, I did the replacement. Amazon batteries do not last very long, but they are cheaper, so I've never done the math to see if it's worth the cheaper at a higher quantity than the more expensive at the lower quantity for time of use. I don't care. God. It's awesome. Just awesome. I'm gonna go crash. As you can see, I still need to put the pillowcases on. I explain it all in the one video.